I'm Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of Arts for the Masses. The arts are alive in Massachusetts, and I'm the lucky guy who gets to bring them to you. Today we're talking about a show with a lot of razzle-dazzle. That's right, the one and only Chicago is being produced by the Pentucket Players, and I'm so excited to have on the show today John Buzzell. Welcome, John.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you.
So, I haven't been in Massachusetts very long, and this is my first experience with the Pentucket Players. Can you tell me about how it all got started? I know that you're one of the original founders. Give me the history in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, we are celebrating our 30th consecutive season this year. 30 years ago, I was doing a lot of directing throughout Eastern Mass, Southern New Hampshire. But there was no community theater resident in the Merrimack Valley area. We had other theaters that had come and gone, but there was nothing available here. So a friend of mine and I said, it's time. It's time for us to have something just in the Merrimack Valley. And we started Pentucket Players. The word Pentucket is an Indian word. It was the original name of Haverhill, Mass. And the word actually means place of the winding river. And that's a reference to the Merrimack River, which runs right through Haverhill. And we started producing 3 to 4 shows per year. We're down now to 2 big musicals, a fall musical and a spring musical, and a summer show as well. And as I said, this is our 30th consecutive season. We took no time off during the pandemic.
Yeah, so what did you do during the pandemic? How were you able to pivot?
We did one review, a Sondheim review that we live streamed from a barn in New Hampshire. And that summer, we did an outdoor production of the Addams Family musical. It was socially distanced. All of the performers wore masks. And God bless Governor Charlie Baker, 2 days before we opened, he came out with a mandate that outdoor activities could not exceed 50 people. Well, there were 19 in the cast.
And how many and then a band.
And a 7-piece band. So that meant that we could sell 25 seats per performance. And it was outdoors. And we had people sitting in little pod circles. And I got to tell you, the COVID police came every night.
Wow.
They showed up about an hour before curtain and looked and made sure that we were following the codes. And we had no problem. It was a great show. We also live streamed it. Then after that, we did a straight play, Mass Appeal, and slowly but surely attendance started to come back. And, now we're probably at about 70% capacity as to where we were before the pandemic. Each show, it gets a little bit stronger with attendance. And, we follow the CDC guidelines for the state of Massachusetts. I mean, if they require masking indoors, then we require masking indoors. If they lift the mask, we lift the mask.
Now, it's been really interesting talking with theaters and hearing how they pivoted during the pandemic.
Sure.
And so many people you're forced to do more creative things. And is there anything special that you've taken away from having to pivot and work so differently that maybe you'll carry with you into the future?
Yeah, we have a rented space in Lawrence, Mass. That it's in an old mill. And we have a costume workshop, a set workshop, and a large rehearsal studio. And one of the things we learned during the pandemic, because we had to make better use of the space, was we actually rehearsed in both what was the set workshop and the rehearsal studio, and found that using both spaces gave us a whole lot of freedom. And so that's something that we're going to continue to do. Despite the numbers of the pandemic going down. And we're also continuing live streaming because it seemed very popular, particularly with people who had relatives and, that were far away that wanted to see the show. And If you can get the license, some companies, will grant you the license. Some companies won't. But
Right. Now let's move on. You're about to do
sure,
Chicago.
we
Now,
are
talking about licenses here, Chicago has been one of those shows that's been very difficult for community theaters and regional theaters to get their hands on for the past decade or more,
right,
and now finally they're letting groups do it. And
right.
Chicago, it's such a fascinating show with such a long and rich history. It opened on
It really is.
Broadway
It really
in
is.
1975, but before that, there was a play of the same
Right,
name,
right.
and then it wasn't until 1996 that City Center did their big encores version that was directed by Walter Bobby and choreographed in the style of Bob Fosse by the one and only Anne Ranking, that it really made its big comeback. It was within that 1 year
And
that it transferred to Broadway, and that's the production people know.
right, and that's revival is still playing,
It's
and
still
it's the
playing.
longest running revival in Broadway history. So it's pretty amazing. As far as the availability, I think what affected that was, as you're probably aware, there was a giant takeover of publishing houses for licensing rights. We used to have 5 or 6 different. We had Music Theater International, we had Tams Whitmark, we had Samuel French, and a new company, a new conglomerate, thank you, my partner's cueing me. Theatrical Rights Worldwide took over, and Chicago was one of the pieces that they now own. And once that happened, everything started to free up. Everything started to become available again. And so, yeah, we're one of the first ones to get Chicago, and we're very excited. Great show, great cast.
So tell me more. Will audiences expect that sort of encores version of Chicago with the band on stage?
Yes.
What's your vision
Okay.
of it?
Okay. We chose, it was my choice, to go with a very realistic setting. So it will look like the Cook County Jail. The orchestra is not on stage. We have a 13-piece orchestra, and the stage was just too small to accommodate that size of the band. However, we have stuck with the Reiking/Fosse choreography and with the whole concept of the ensemble acting like a Greek chorus throughout the show. They play all of the extraneous roles. The costumer decided to go with the basic black and variations of that. So you're going to see, and of course the choreography is iconic. So you're going to see the choreography that you would see in the Broadway production.
This show has so many good songs,
Oh yeah,
and
amazing
it's
score.
amazing how many of them have just permeated the culture of the world.
Oh, absolutely.
You can just go down the list. All That Jazz and Mr. Cellophane and When You're Good to Mama. It's just like these songs give them the old razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle, absolutely.
It's amazing. Why? How do you? Yeah, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that it's that iconic nature of the music, okay, and the way that the score is completely interwoven now with the story and the choreography that I think makes the show so appeals so universally to so many people. You never have a problem selling tickets to Chicago. People know the piece. People like the piece. Okay, and as I've worked with my principal actors, and that's something that we're very fortunate. We have 6 extremely strong principals, and we have 16 extremely strong dancers in the ensemble.
That's a big cast.
Yeah,
that's probably bigger than the Broadway cast.
Just by 2. By 2. But we were very fortunate with every people that came out. And again, the pandemic, everybody wants to come back to the theater. Performers want to perform again. So, we're very fortunate with auditions and the turnout that we get. In fact, that's sort of what's inspired us to do our next show, which is Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, a beautiful show.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did a little night music last spring, and we entered it into. We belong to an organization called EMACT, which is the Eastern Mass Association of Community Theater, and they have a wonderful program where they will come and review your show, and they will give you feedback as to what they think that you did well, or what you might want to look at again. And at the end of the year, they take all of the shows that they've seen, and they have an awards night,
Oh,
a gala. Similar, same concept as the Tonys, basically. Much smaller, of course. But we were very fortunate. Our production of A Little Night Music won the Best Musical Production in Eastern Massachusetts award last year. So we feel pretty good
congratulations.
about that. Thank you. Thank you
Now,
very much.
now from hearing that just some of these titles alone, it seems like you're not afraid to tackle some of the more complicated and difficult shows out there, to be tackling Sondheim and a show like this, which has so much the Fosse style
Yes, yeah,
choreography. So
absolutely.
are these sort of the strengths
Absolutely.
of the Pentucket players?
Definitely. We intentionally choose challenging material. We also choose, we know, we're fully aware that, some shows aren't as popular and are not maybe not as well known, but I think that's part of our mission, is to bring work to the stage, to bring work to people's attention. Okay. We're also committed to non traditional casting. In fact, we just recently have named a DEI person to our board of directors. And I think if community theater is going to survive and moving forward into this century, we have to look at our diversity, our equality, and what we're offering to different people. For too long a time, community theater has been if I may say, almost a purely white endeavor. And I really think that it's time that, and in fact, it's overdue. We have to look at non-traditional casting, and we have to be a welcoming force. We have certainly welcomed diversity, okay, but I think we need to stretch that even more so. And here in the Merrimack Valley, we have a very large Hispanic population. We have a large Asian population, and we really want to open our doors, encouraging people of color to come and audition. And even if the role was not originally played by a person of color, great theater. It doesn't matter the word. It doesn't matter what color the performer is.
I keep
Okay,
telling people it's 2022. Those old rules of the past are thrown out the window.
exactly,
If you've got the talent, that's what we want. Talent comes
absolutely.
first. I want to see passionate, talented performers on stage, and
Well,
you just
some of
have.
the liberties we've taken with Chicago is we first of all we held a non-binary auditions, and um, we have people in the cast who identify with different pronouns than their birth gender. We also sort of opened up the sexuality side of the show, because it's a very gritty show. Okay, I don't think it's The Sound of Music. I don't think it's meant to be.
No,
Okay, and
absolutely
we
not.
also, we said, why couldn't, like, the character of Billy Flynn, why wouldn't he be as desirable to the boys in the chorus, as he is to the women in the chorus?
Sure.
So we sort of integrated men and women in numbers where they traditionally have just been women or just been men, just to sort of bring that concept a little bit forward into the 21st century, where I think it belongs.
Tell me about the team that you've assembled to put this show together. Who's choreographing and costumes, and who are your big players here?
Extremely fortunate. We have a young man by the name of Alex Skaggs, who is a choreographer extraordinaire. He won a Dash Award last year for his choreography in our production of Evita. You know, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant choreographer, and he's very good with layered choreography. With it isn't just the dance. He's very good at having the steps interpret the score. He's excellent choreographer. Our music director is John David Eldridge. He's been with us for 7 years. He has an extensive background in music. He originally is from the Concord area, I believe, and has worked at different schools. I know that he works for North Reading High School and has been their resident music director for their theater program for a while. And John's been with us now for going on 7 years. When we did a little night music last year, we looked at the orchestration. There's no reduction. 22 pieces. We had 22 pieces.
Wow.
Because that's what's required. The audience needs to hear the score the way the composer intended for it to be heard. That's why there are 13 pieces in the Chicago orchestra. So you have all of those sounds, so that all of those sounds, and the way that sound mixes is there for a reason. And I really think that it's our responsibility, as much as it is to present the lines that were written, in the way they were, and the lyrics sung the way they were. Okay, I think it's our responsibility to present the score the way it was written as well. And I'm fortunate.
Now, this can be a very pricey endeavor.
Oh, yes, and it is. And,
so, as a nonprofit theater, how do you make that work?
Well, I'll tell you, Ryan, we're very nonprofit. I don't know any organization that's as much nonprofit as we are. During the pandemic, we were fortunate in that because of where we're situated in Lawrence, the Columbia gas tragedy happened. And when that explosion happened, it shut us down for about a month and a half. Mm-hmm. And so we applied for a settlement from them, and we received that. Very generous. We've had benefactors during the pandemic. People were extremely generous in making sure that we were able to stay alive. But I mean, it's hard. We have an operating budget of about $22,000 a year, which pays the rent. That's got nothing to do with doing a show. I mean, that's just our physical space where we are. And our production budgets run between 30 and 50 grand, and the cast really is responsible for raising a good portion of that money. It's a third. We usually try to get a third of it through ticket sales, and the rest through fundraising and donations. But as I say, if you were to look at us, we operate in the red a lot of the times because we're a nonprofit.
Exactly. I know that life. I know it well.
None of us is getting rich off this, believe me.
No.
But we believe that we do quality work. We believe that we do quality theater. Our mission statement is to present quality theater for and by the community. And we've stuck to that for 30 years, and so far so good. We've been very fortunate.
So Chicago's playing November 18th through the 20th.
It is. 4 performances. I have to look at the flyer myself.
So tell me, where are the performances going to be? Give me the full rundown. You said it's a really cool venue. It's very accessible.
We are in the Haverhill City Hall Auditorium. It's located on 4 Summer Street in Haverhill. And if you Google it, it'll. I mean, if you put it into your map thing, it'll come right up. Performances, GPS. Performances are November 18th and 19th. That's Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And then 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. As I said, there is a large parking lot behind the building. The entrance to the building is right off the parking lot. It's actually in the rear of the building. On the side, there is a handicap parking lot, and that leads directly to an elevator, which no stairs involved if you take the handicapped access.
And where can we get tickets? Can we buy them online?
You can buy them online if you just search Pentucket Players Chicago. It'll take you right to the link. Okay, and you can also buy them at the door.
Oh, terrific.
Okay, there were 2 ticket prices. The side seats are $25 and the center seats are $30, and they're the same price whether you buy them online or at the door. I think online, I think there's an agent fee that I think there's like a $2 agent fee. I don't know. I never buy them online, but
and here we are. We can finally go back to theater again.
Welcome back to the theater.
Welcome back.
Finally.
Let's fill up this auditorium. How many seats are in there? Let's pack it.
We have got 315 seats per performance, and we're nowhere near that at the moment. So I think we're probably at the moment. I think we've sold close to 400 total, which not terrible. I mean. Yeah. We have 1,200 in all.
So maybe you've only seen the movie version, which is pretty good, by the way. Yes. That movie's good. Yes. But come on out and enjoy it in person. I promise you, the stage show is so it's always better than the movie, right?
Absolutely. It is absolutely magnetic. I mean, it draws you in. The band is good. The voices are awesome. The choreography is fabulous, and of course, I must say the direction is marvelous.
You must say.
Yes.
So that's right. Come on out to the theater, make a night of it, go get a dinner beforehand or afterwards and enjoy
Plenty of great restaurants in Haverhill all around. Just Google Haverhill, Mass restaurants and you'll get at least 15 to 20 excellent possibilities. And they're all right in that area, which is also nice.
So support local commerce, support the theater, and go out and see the show. John, it's been so awesome talking to you, and I can't wait to come and see it.
I can't wait to meet you as well. Thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Arts for the Masses. If you're a nonprofit community theater in the area, that's any area all over Massachusetts, or maybe you're a gallery or a music school, let me know what you're doing. I'd love to help feature you on Arts for the Masses. Have a great day. Take care.